What up, though? It's Terrell with Socialite, and we back with another one. Today we're going to be highlighting one of the series that I started in the past, but I wasn't able to keep up with. But with 2023, I'm gonna try to make this like a weekly thing, so be on the lookout for it. But yeah, the name of this is Market Recap, where I'm going to essentially go over all the things that happened within the previous week within the financial market. So let's get started. With it being the beginning of the year, the first episode back, I'm gonna just go over basically what happened within the past year, like a year recap. So during 2022, not only did crypto go down, but stocks also had their worst year in the United States since the 2008 recession. The S&P 500 dropped by almost 20%, and the Nasdaq by almost 35% or so. So in terms of just the economy in general, a lot of people like to focus on one aspect of it, whether it be real estate or crypto or stocks or any of that. In general, the whole entirety of the economy has been on a downtrend in general. And like I said last year, puts were the best bet in regards to, the future of our economy. And that still may be the case, but we'll find out. Because as we've seen, to help combat inflation, the Fed, they hiked their rates around 7 times last year. So that just goes to show how much of a transition our economy is going through in general. And people ask me all the time, like, is it the end of crypto? Is it like I always say, end of the world, business as usual. Like, everything is down right now, which to people like me, to other investors, that's an opportunity to buy things at a discount. People were just happy paying 40,000+ for a Bitcoin, and now it's under 20,000. It's everybody selling it, getting rid of it, and wanting to stay away from it, which is the total opposite thing of what you want to do. One of the main catalysts for future investments would be AI. I don't know if you heard, but Google has some competition. It's a couple things that's been produced by a company named OpenAI, such as like Chat GPT or Wall-E, Doll-E, something like that. Essentially, Chat GPT is an automated response type of thing that's generated by AI. You can essentially create a whole book report. People are using it to defend themselves in court, acting as a lawyer, all types of things. The possibility is endless. And what it does is, if we Google something, it's just a simple search and all of the results show up. Well, this Chat GPT thing essentially pulls from all of the sources on the internet and creates a formulated response that can give you a point by point basis on a specific topic that you're talking about. So you could ask it to, give me a summary of everything that happened in the past 100 years, and it will give you a detailed analysis of everything, very in-depth with sources cited and everything, just to give you a broader understanding of how it operates. And this is still the beginning of AI, so that being said, we in for some scary hours in the future, to say the least. DALL-E is the same thing, but it's for a more image-based thing. So the AI can generate images of people, and that's why you saw the whole thing with people getting AI-generated things of their faces and whatnot. And at the same time, it's collecting all of our data so it can enhance it for the future. So that's something to be on the lookout for. But yeah, Google finally got some competition, and they even held internal meetings about the disruption that this may cause. If Google is having to sit down and talk about this stuff, that just shows the implication of how far this can go, and that they're actually scared of something like this catching on. So that's just something to be on the lookout for. As far as AI is becoming more advanced, we're starting to see drone deliveries becoming more of a thing, whether it be with Amazon using their services to deliver drones, Walmart's trying to get a part of it, get on top of it, and Google is even partnering with Walgreens to help them with their drone deliveries as well. On top of that, things like Waymo and Lyft and Uber are also starting to invest in driverless cars, autonomous cars, and things like that, which is also AI. So that might be the next catalyst if you want to make a lot of money. Invest in AI, in tech. So But speaking of the tech industry, I don't know if you noticed, but there has been thousands and thousands of layoffs for the biggest tech companies or even the small ones. So when it comes to that, that just goes to show that the economy and what it's going through is also having an impact in our technology and AI and things of that nature, just to make sure it advances. And lots of companies are having to cut lots of positions because they essentially overhire people for specific things now that they're realizing that money isn't as available as it has been in the past. They're kind of going back on their word. So if you have a job during this time, you're blessed in general, especially in the tech space, because they're becoming far and few in between. And speaking of jobs, also remote jobs and remote opportunities are dwindling and starting to decline as people are starting to be demanded to be back in the office. So if you have a remote job, kudos to you. With the collapse of crypto and FTX and Celsius and all of these centralized exchanges, decentralized cryptocurrency is starting to become more of a theme, as platforms like Uniswap and things like that have been picking up more volume, even more than that of Coinbase. So people are starting to do more transactions in terms of Ethereum on Uniswap and doing it themselves rather than letting Coinbase or companies like that regulate how the crypto is going to be transferred and the service fees and all of that. So that's just showing that people are becoming more aware of it, and the people that's going to stick it out are moving the correct way when it comes to this. Most people ask me what's the difference between centralized and decentralized. To keep it simple, decentralized essentially means that it's not ran by a business. No business has control over it. Whereas centralized means things like the government may be able to control this asset and vice versa. Going from October to November, decentralized transactions jumped by 68%. So that just tells you what direction we're headed. There's CBDC currency coming, which is essentially centralized bank digital currency. And as I've stated before, the powers that be are coming to centralize crypto and take control over and harness its power, and we're starting to see the effects of that. We've seen countries like Africa or China, and even the US is in talks of creating their own digital currency that's backed by the government, which they will be able to track every transaction and be able to shut you off at a push of a button. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, because at the same time, we have seen that, you know, you can get messed over when it comes to crypto and lose everything. So there does have to be some middle ground, but we don't need Big Brother coming in to handle it for us. Like, just let us figure it out on our own rather than relying on the government to make sure that the currencies are stable and, you know, they have total control over it. I don't want that. Just trying to stay ahead of XRP, which is trying to replace Swift protocol. If you haven't seen that video on my Patreon, you might want to check that out. I'm also going to post it on YouTube and Instagram as well. I talked about this months ago, how XRP is trying to come in and fix this problem as well, and that's why the whole lawsuit they have going on, you know, held them up from their plans. And, you know, we're starting to get to the end of that. It's starting to be resolved, so we're going to be able to see what they have planned. We're starting to see more and more people go back towards Bitcoin and Ethereum as the main staples of their digital investments. No more other coins are being looked at as much, especially with the Ethereum merge happened in September, and we're going to continue to see more upgrades to the Ethereum blockchain throughout the year. So definitely stay tuned to that. But yeah, this is making more people just stick with the tried and true, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm doing the same. So yeah, be on the lookout for stablecoin regulations such as like USDT, things like that. I talked about this before, how there was exploits in the system that let people totally collapse things and run off with billions in the past. So stablecoin regulation is also on the horizon as well, which goes hand in hand with the CBDC, the central bank and digital currency. So we're going to see some crazy things this year as far as world governments trying to take control over crypto. I believe somewhere in Europe, they're getting taxed like 25% of their total crypto gains and stuff like that. So they're definitely coming for it. Just to give you a better idea of how powerful stablecoins are, as far as transactions goes, stablecoins were responsible for over $7 trillion worth of transactions. By comparison, things like MasterCard did 2.2 trillion. Pretty much everybody has like debit and credit cards by MasterCard. American Express did about 1 trillion. So stable coins more than double both of those combined as far as, their utilization. And speaking of utilization, Africa has the highest peer-to-peer transaction ratio as far as Bitcoin and Ethereum. People in Africa are sending and receiving it towards each other and paying for goods and services and groceries at a higher rate than any other country in the world. So shout out to Africa. There has also been a record number of investors going into the psychedelic space. As far as psychedelics, we're speaking in terms of mushrooms and LSD and all the things on that side of the spectrum. And what we're starting to see is that it's gaining more traction and getting legal. I think it's legal in Oregon and Colorado, and it's on pace to outsell, or there's more money that's going to be involved in the psychedelic space over weed. So everybody's fighting for the legalization of weed and things like that, but the real money is in psychedelics. People are starting to learn. Remember, I'm the first one to tell you that. Johns Hopkins did a study on psychedelics, and they actually proved that they help with depression, and they're also starting to see results that it helps with PTSD and anxiety as well. And they also help people get rid of their addictions as far as other drugs, whether it be opiates or pills or anything like that. It's starting to be proven that psychedelics helps people get off of these substances. The whole psychedelic market is expected to 5x by 2027, which will definitely outpace weed. It is, though, still illegal federally. Last year, nuclear fusion became a thing, which I already covered on my Instagram. You might want to follow that, Socialite Consulting. But essentially, nuclear fusion is free energy, like I said before. There won't be a need for oil and gas and coal and all of that stuff. So I'm curious to see how the powers that be will handle or manipulate a situation like this, because I feel as if energy should already be free, but if it's going to get this cheap, how can they continue to make us keep paying for it? Just to give you an idea, energy produced from nuclear fusion is 4 million times more powerful than traditional oil or gasoline. I've also seen a lot of people joking that Elon Musk was the first person in history to lose $200 billion. But let me ask you a question. How many people in human history even made over $200 billion to even have the opportunity to lose that much? And we all know, whether it be stocks, crypto, real estate, no asset goes only straight up. So that just goes to show the level of wealth that's involved with this. And as I stated before, he's going to be the first trillionaire. So this $200 billion loss in and out, it looks ridiculous, crazy, but nobody else even had the opportunity to make $200 billion, let alone lose it. So that just goes to really show. And still, him being the second most wealthy person in the world really goes to show what level this dude was on when it comes to his inventions, ideas, and just the financial rhetoric in general. Last month, Trump's NFTs were going wild, record-breaking numbers. It was about $3.5 million worth of Trump trading cards that was going around, and now less than 2 weeks later, it's only worth $20,000. So we're seeing yet another NFT pump and dump that people fell for. But we're going to see more and more stuff like this as the world transitions to a more Web3 based, as DAOs and more of that type of stuff becomes more of the norm, smart contracts and all of that. We're going to get more into that in the future, so stay tuned. But that's pretty much a summary of all the things that happened within the past year, and I look forward to hearing from you what you think, and definitely let me know if there are some things that I missed or anything that you would like me to talk about. I'm all ears. Leave it in the comments. I read them all and I try to respond to everybody. So with that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow whatever platform you see this on. Make sure to interact with me and I'll interact back with you. I'm out.